not going?
Going down.
Under there, can you just hold this like right here? Put your hands right there. Gotta move it a little bit. Just try to keep it kind of look where it's at. I need to make a mark if I even can. I don't know. Let's get all the holes. 1, 2, 3. Only 2. I'm gonna grab me 6 bolts and 6 nuts. I'm gonna hold the hinges up. I just need you to, hopefully the screws will, hopefully the bolts will go down in the hole and line up with all the holes. I'll take the nuts and go underneath, put the nuts on. Cool? Whatever one. That one? I should have you doing this. I'm the old guy. No. That's why. See if we can get these bolts to fit in. Good. All right, so you got your bolts, and my nuts are down here. Okay, go ahead. Put the top one in. Yeah. You have anything to tap? It's right there. There you go. There you go. Hold on. All right, so let's go on the other side and do the other top one. Hopefully it fits. Side. wishbones, the stock wishbones, they're all rotted. Dylan helped me pull the wheels off. So the reason why I had to take the Model A wishbones off, or the radius rods off, were because they won't fit into the 35X member. So that's why those have to be removed. I have some, I believe these are like 40 to 48, 40, 42, 46 to 48. This one's a little bit bent, but I'm only going to end up using like 2/3 of it. So what I need to do is I need to get this axle up in here just so I can get my measurements to make sure this is going to work out the way I need it to. What's up, everyone? YouTubeville, YouTube land, YouTube world. It's Mike, this old hot rod, Friday afternoon. And we're gonna work on the Model T Roadster. So where I left off the other day was late at night. I was working on getting the pedals. Whoops, get my easy up here, so it's one more obstacle. I was working on getting my pedals in, and then also the steering column. You can see I got kind of a lot of stuff going on right there. So this column here is a 1946 to 48 Ford. This came out of a delivery sedan from a gentleman a couple towns over named Mickey. Depending on how things work out, I am leaning towards running this setup. The only thing that may differ is the steering wheel itself. And the reason I say that is I need to shorten this about 4 to 5 inches, which will put the steering wheel down in this area here as far as the top. But the problem is depending on how far over I can get it, this steering wheel is pretty much going to be hitting the edge of the door, and I'm really nervous about that. So what I was thinking about doing was removing this steering wheel and using that steering wheel. This steering wheel is off a Chris Craft boat. This came from a gentleman named Tom Gorman. He lived in Woodbury, Connecticut, and the story behind this is what he told me was that he had a 32 Ford Coupe when he was living in California, and when he moved back from California he had sold the Coupe, but he had kept the steering column and steering wheel. And that's where this came from. And this is the first time I had ever met him. I had bought a lot of parts from him, and he said, hey, I got something for you. I got something I want you to have. And as I was leaving, getting loaded up, ready to go, he walked out with this and said, here, I want you to have this. So he gave me this. He passed this on to me. And I've kept it just because I felt that I wanted to wait until I had the right car to put it in. And I think this car is the right car to put it in. Cool thing about this steering wheel is it's keyed. It has the same shaft as the Ford steering wheel, or the Ford column, and it's keyed the same way. So this steering wheel should just pop off of this column and slide onto this one. And the good thing about it is I'm a little nervous because it's smaller, so it'll be a little bit harder to turn, but I don't think it'll be all that bad because it's 15 inches versus 18 inches. You can see the size difference. But this is going to help with some clearance issues here. If when I do cut the column down and I need the clearance, this is going to be the answer to the problem. And it's a really cool steering wheel. I'm going to leave it just the way it is. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to paint it. I went down to my buddy John's place, club member, and he had a Model A spring that he's had from one of his projects. This is a spring that he gave me. It already has reversed eyes, as you can see. So taking a set of stock perches that I had pulled off, I'd cleaned up the top, the brake rod guide, or the ball, I forget, I think it was just the guide that was on here. I cleaned it up. So I gotta get these in here, get my spring mounted in place, get my shackles here. I'm not gonna put spacers underneath yet. I gotta put spacers underneath. I was gonna run this axle, but the holes for the perch holes are a lot closer, and the spring is actually too long. Spring is too long to run on this axle. So I'm not able to run the axle with the parts that I have available to me right now. So that being said, I gotta get some grease. I'm gonna clean up all the holes in here, because these are not really going in all that easy. Plus I gotta remove the paint from those. That's probably what it is the paint. I'm gonna end up painting all these black anyways. So this is an old dropped axle that I got from my buddy Tim. I'll show you, give you some close-ups on it. It's a little crusty, but it's perfect for this build. So it's a 33 to 36 dropped axle, but he found this axle in the ground at a junkyard, the same place he pulled out a 32 5-window coupe that he ended up selling to Eli English. You can see at some point someone welded on these shock mounts. Probably going to end up cutting these off and re-welding new ones on, because I figured might as well. The reason why I'm going to cut them off is the threads are really bad. I mean, even the washers are locked on there. This side it's not. So I'm going to end up running the same setup there. So like I said, I'll cut those off and weld on some new shock bungs or mounts. I already split the wishbones, as you guys saw. So those are ready to go. I got my wishbone mounts here, my ends. So these, just like I said before, will get mounted up underneath the frame wherever they fall. Alright, get these cleaned up. So on this spring, there's one really long leaf that's up against the eye of the spring on both ends. So I'm going to pull this spring apart, and I'm going to remove this bottom leaf. It's really grooved in there too. Yeah, both sides. So I don't know why that's in there. In any event, and the arc doesn't look the same either. So I'm going to remove that leaf. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total. So I'm going to remove that second leaf and then leave 5 in the front and see how it ends up working out. Hopefully it'll sit up where I need it to. We'll grab a couple C-clamps. So you can see what I'm doing. I got my clamps on my spring, keep the tension on the spring pack. Now what I'm doing is I'm just obviously loosening the center bolt and the nut so I can pull these leaves out and I can separate that second spring. Once that's done, I'll put it back together and get this spring mounted on the axle. Wowza. That's why it was funky. I don't think I'm going to keep it reverse side. I thought he re-arched the spring. He didn't. So I think I'm going to keep it. I think I'm going to remove this second leaf. I'm going to keep it just like that and see how it is. If I don't need this leaf, if I do need this leaf, I'll take it apart and put it back together. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build it I'm going to reverse the reverse eye. That's what I'm trying to say. Add a little bit of grease on the spring. Now, if only the rear the rear spring from the Model T, it would be this easy. Unfortunately, it's not gonna be. I want to make sure this nut is in straight alignment with the sides of the spring. Because it needs to fit right in that square hole on the front cross member. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't mount the spring in the perches. Alright, I gotta find some bolts, some nuts. I need to find nuts for perch bolts. And again, I know I need to run a 1/4 inch spacer. I made them for the 34. I'll make them for these. I'm just not gonna do that yet. It's not gonna stop me from getting things together, not having those in. But I do need to find 2 nuts for the bottom of my perch pins. I'm gonna get this thing tucked up underneath the brand. Alright, well, now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the axle up into the car. I just slid my tire over, threw it underneath the axle on one end. I need to get the bolt head lined up like that. I'm going to have a little bit of a space under here between the U-bolts and the axles for the spring. What I'll do in the future is I'll take one of these off at a time and I'll just weld a block of steel on top of this, and it'll go up and it'll hold the spring inside the axle, inside the cross member. So now, get these set in place. There's these holes here for these to line up with, but I think these are Model T rear spring U-bolts. I'm going to use for the Model A front cross member. They fit a little bit of a space, but it won't be bad. I just need to open up these 2 holes on either side to accept this larger diameter pin. We'll grab some of my drill bits and get those holes drilled out. What I need is some jack stands. Hey, baby. Oh, what a good girl. Thank you so much for the kisses. Thank you so much. You're such a good girl. Yeah, this is Hotrod stuff. Yeah, crusty car stuff, baby. Yep. Crusty car stuff. you need to adjust the axle caster. This cross member should be at 6 degrees, so that means I want my axle at 6 degrees. 6 to 7 degrees, 6 to 8 degrees. So I'm going to get that, I'm going to check that out, and then if I can get that at 6 degrees, and these wishbones don't line up with where the mounts are going to go, I need to pie cut these. I'll get that taken care of, I'll get these up, I'll get everything tacked in place. I'll throw some spindles on and get some front wheels on this thing and maybe set the front end on the ground. That'd be cool. Alright, let's get things measured up and get everything leveled out. Okay, so I'm just using my digital angle finder. What I'm doing is I'm setting it right on cross member. So that shows me it's 1 degrees, 1.3. Alright. So the frame, 1 degree down. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to jack it up a little bit. I'm going to get the frame at 0, which is, I'm just going to put a couple shims underneath the jack stands. So I'm just going to jack it up some. At 1.1, 0.7. 0.4, 0.1.
Hi.
Hey. Alright, so it went the other way. Hey, honey.
I planted my mom's.
Did you?
Yeah, but I need water.
Wait a minute, it'll rain. No. Alright, so that frame's at dead 0. Alright, so where I'm at is I got some blocks underneath on my jack stands. Underneath the frame, I got a shim on this side, no shim on the other side, but I have the same block. The reason why is my driveway pitches down this way to shed the water, and then it pitches down from the front of the garage. I'm at 0.1 on this side. At the same part on the frame on the driver's side, I'm at 0.1. It's the exact same. So now what I need to do is I need to get, so it's 0.1 on the, 0.0. It's so close to being exactly flat. So I mean right there, just sitting there right now, it's at 0.0. I think because there's a little bit of a paint flake. Yeah, 0.1, 0.0, just because of the paint that's on the frame. What I need to do is I need to check the angle of my front cross member. It's going to be tough because that nut is in there and it's kind of a little bit high. Alright, so I don't have much caster. I don't have as much caster on my front cross member as I thought I would. I only have 3 degrees, so I'm just going to have to magnify it when I twist the axle back. So I'm at 13 degrees right now.
Wow. Honey, do you want manicotti for dinner?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Cool with that, girl. Cool with that. Alright, so that's 6. That's roughly 6 degrees right there. So I'll show you. That's an angle finder. It tells you how many degrees. So like right here, my frame is 0.0. See it?
Yeah.
So what I need to do is this top of this axle needs to be roughly at 6 to 7 degrees. I'm at 6.1. Oh, the jack just moved.
5 points.
Yeah, so somewhere in that range.
Just 20.
Yeah, so what I need to do is I need to cut this, and I need to raise the end of this up so I can mount. So this swivel, so this is the tie rod end. This tie rod threads into here. So you put this in halfway, and the reason why you go halfway, is you want to be right in the middle. Because then if you have you need to adjust it, you have half the distance here and then half the distance here. So you want to kind of be right in the middle. So this is what holds the front suspension in the car. Alright, so what I need to do is, this axle needs to stay at 6 degrees, but this mount right here needs to be on the bottom of the frame. So that means I have to cut the top of this and then cut a little triangle out of it and then squeeze, then lift it up and squeeze it together and then re-weld it. So that's called pie cutting the wishbones. Right there. 6.4. Alright. That's where I want to be. Alright, I'm going to grab my welder and get this side welded on and then get the driver's side done after that. So what I'm going to do is I just cleaned off the spot for the ground. I'm going to get the mount welded onto the frame first, or tacked onto the frame first. And then after that, I'll get my caster, make sure it's right where I need it to be, and then I'll tack the wishbone where I pie cut it. There, and I'm at 6.3 degrees. Woo! Love it when a plan comes together. Alright, so, oh, and it's nice and tight. Right. If I were to tap on it just a little bit, 6.5. Right on the money. That's where I want to be. So let me get that tacked. I'm going to do the same thing over on the driver's side. So I'm at 6.4 degrees. On the passenger side. Happy with that? Now I just have to do the same on the driver's side. Cool. Alright. Let's go to the driver's side. mount. You're going to get underneath the frame cleaned up. You get this one tacked in place. I'm at 6.7 degrees right now, but obviously I'm not attached to the frame yet. What I'm going to do real quick is grab a tape measure. Just want to measure some points to the frame off the axle to make sure that I'm square. If the axle is square, it should be, but you never know. Alright, so I took some measurements. Took some measurements from the center of the axle on the seam to where the mount, the very front of the mount on both sides. I took measurements from the center hole, the pin, to the mount. The mount's it's the exact same. It's within a 1/16 of an inch on both sides. There's a little bit of play in the spring. So I think all in all, I think pretty good. Not to mention I haven't welded this. When I heat this up and weld this, it's going to pinch it tight. And that'll probably pull in my 1/16 of an inch here. So let me grab my welder and I'm going to get this side welded up and then get some spindles and some wheels. 1/8 of an inch inside the frame, further under. Yeah. I'm a little bit further out on this side. I want it to be the same. Point 4. 6.4. 6.4. 5. 3. 6.3. I'm right there. Alright. So get that tap. 'Some spindles. Woo! Get a couple sets of spindles here. One square back and one set of round back spindles. I'm just going to use the round backs. They're a little bit cleaner. I'll steel the wheel bearings. and the spindle nuts and washers and everything off of these ones. The bearings obviously just for mock-up. Kind of crusty. But in any event, I got a couple sets of spindles, and we got 3 or 4 sets of old kingpins for mock-up that I'll use. I just found another NOS set of kingpins. Obviously the dust seal's not in there, the shims aren't in there. It's just to, I probably should have ran a piece of sandpaper through that. That thing's pretty tight. Remember, this is just mock-up. I'm gonna have to heat and bend my steering arms like I did on the 34. That was a little easier, but it's still a little tough. Alright. I'm not sure what I have for front drums to run on this car. I know I have wide 5s, but I don't have any tires that are mounted on wide 5 rims. I have just the 5 on 5.5. So let me see what I can find for backing plates and just backing plates and drums, I guess. Alright, so getting these. So this is the driver's side, front brake. Where'd I put the drum? What? I'm losing my mind. Oh, it's leaning right here against my jack. Alright, got wheel bearings and everything already in it. So let me grab 9 minutes. I got 9 minutes of freedom. Alright. Hard to see. Sorry if it's dark and you can't see. This is going to be the last thing I'm going to do tonight because I can't see. Alright, so snug. Back it off about 1/4 of a turn. Now the passenger side. We have lights on the passenger side. Grease cap. Wheel bearing. Grab the hammer. Of course, this one isn't going to come out easy. Probably just going to have to loosen these up. Pads might be bound up. So, kind of struggling here with the passenger side. Dinner's almost ready, and I can't seem to get this off.